and gentlemen, we shall now start the FedEx Small Business Grant Contest. This is a program by FedEx to award small businesses with grants to support their operations, fuel growth, foster innovation, and nurture new ideas. For this year's FedEx Small Business Grant Contest, judges from both FedEx and Forbes Asia gathered to deliberate and shortlist companies from the latest 100 to Watch list published last August. The judges looked at a number of factors, such as the company's business idea and model, the investors behind them, impact and contribution to their industry, innovation, whether they are a leader in their industry or have the potential to be one in the future, revenue growth, customer growth, and many more. And after much consideration, 4 finalists were selected for this year's contest. The companies are Aether Fuels, Sicona Battery Technologies, Venti Technologies, and Linkerbot. We will now be inviting the founders of these 4 companies on stage to present a 5-minute pitch each. They will share about their company's conception, growth, and vision. Their presentations will be evaluated by a panel of judges from FedEx and Forbes Asia. So without further ado, let's start. I'd first like to invite on stage Conor Madigan, co-founder and CEO of Aether Fuels. Aether Fuels is a sustainable fuel technology company that converts waste carbon feedstock into sustainable aviation and marine fuels. Conor?
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Conor Madigan, CEO and founder of Aether Fuels. In 2020, after about a decade successfully building my first deep tech startup, I decided I wanted to build a new company that would be able to make money and tackle climate change. And in 2022, I launched Aether with a simple mission: to transform how we make jet fuel and enable aviation to get to net zero. Aviation contributes about 3% of global CO2 emission every year. And that may not seem like much, but it's one of the most difficult industries to decarbonize. And around the world, governments are putting in place mandates that are requiring the aviation industry to slash its emissions. The challenge is that there aren't many easy ways to do this. They can't use batteries, they're too heavy, and they need energy-dense liquid fuels. So the only viable solution is sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF. So SAF is completely compatible with existing planes and fleets. But unlike fossil fuel, which takes carbon from underground in the form of oil and refines it into jet fuel, with SAF, you recycle carbon that's already on the surface of the planet. So you take a process that's a one-way trip of carbon from underground into CO2 in the air, and you turn it into a loop. So why hasn't SAF taken off more? The leading technology today is a technology that converts used cooking oil and other waste fats into SAF. And this technology works, but it's not very scalable. If you take all of the used cooking oil and waste fats in the world, you can only make a fraction of the jet fuel we need to address SAF demand. And that demand is massive. By 2040, just with existing policies in place, the demand will be about 40 million metric tons per year of SAF. That's a more than $100 billion market at current prices. And if we want to decarbonize all of aviation, we'll need about 500 million metric tons of fuel. If I use used cooking oil to do this, I can make maybe 14 million. At the same time, it's also too expensive today. SAF costs about $3,000 per ton compared to $800 per ton for fossil jet fuel. So the problem is clear. We need a lot more SAF, and we need it to be much cheaper. That's exactly the problem that Aether Fuels is solving. Our proprietary Aether Aurora technology allows us to take abundant waste carbon streams like CO2, biogas, agricultural waste, and industrial off-gases and turn it into SAF. But we don't just make SAF, we make it economically viable. We've cut CapEx costs by as much as 50%, in production facilities. We've boosted yield more than 20%. And we've built a system that is intrinsically feedstock flexible. The result is a scalable and cost-efficient platform for making the fuel that we need to meet this SAF demand. And unlike most of our competitors, which need SAF prices to rise for their first plants to be economically viable, our first plants are profitable at current prices, and over time we can drive prices down by more than half. To date, we've raised more than $50 million from numerous leading global investors, including Zora, Chevron, Eni, Petronas, JetBlue, and here in Singapore, Aster and the Economic Development Board. We've grown to 25 people, and our leadership team has built more than $60 billion of assets in the energy, chemicals, and refining space. Going forward, we have been moving quickly, taking our technology from lab to pilot to demo, and now we're moving into commercialization. Our first project, Project Beacon, will be operational in 2028 here in Singapore, producing about $5 million a year of product. But that's just the beginning. We're now building out a pipeline of projects, each capable of producing more than $100 million a year of product, and focused particularly here in Southeast Asia, where there's abundant waste carbon feedstocks to turn into valuable SAF. We're raising our Series B this summer to enable that transition from development into commercialization. Aviation brings us together. It enables economies, cultures, and human progress. And we shouldn't have to choose between connecting the world and saving it. And at Aether Fuels, we're making the fuel that lets us do both. Thank you.
Thank you, Conor. That was Conor Madigan, co-founder and CEO of Aether Fuels. I'd like now to invite on stage Andrew Minett, co-founder and CTO of Sicona Battery Technologies. The company is a next-generation battery materials company commercializing silicon carbon anode materials for lithium-ion batteries. Andrew?
Thank you to the organizers. I'm Dr. Drew Minett. I dropped Andrew a while ago. I'm CTO, co-founder of Sicona Battery Technologies. We have battery in the title, but we are a materials company. Imagine a battery, we've already heard about it, a couple already. Imagine a battery that actually lasts longer. Imagine being able to drive your car twice as far. Imagine being able to have a phone or a laptop, go to space, go undersea. Wherever ubiquitous lithium-ion batteries are today, imagine being able to have that last longer. If that's what you want, and I can tell you everybody in the room does, then that's what we enable. That's what we unlock. We are a materials company. The materials that we make come from waste feedstocks. Silicon from either the semiconductor industry or the solar panel industry, a waste feedstock that can go into us. It can be circularized. When you're finished with those products, you can re-put them, remake those solar panels and that into our feedstock materials. Our other one comes from our ubiquitous petroleum industry. So we use a carbon source that's a waste feedstock from petroleum. We take these two materials, and what we do is we put them together, and we end up with a material that has 5 times the capacity of graphite, which is in your batteries today. So back in 2019, this is what we set out to do. We set out to make a material that would unlock and enable high energy density batteries of tomorrow, but today, but importantly, that don't cost the Earth. They come from a sustainable background. We're 91% less carbon intense than synthetic graphite that's used today. We're 54% less carbon intense than any of our nearest competitors. We set out with this when we started. There's no point making a material, and we have competitors in the space that have spent over $1 billion in venture capital funding to build a 300-ton per annum plant. So you can make these materials. There's lots of examples of them over the last 20, 30, 40 years in laboratories, but they've failed to get out of laboratories. And like Conor said to start with, you need to be able to scale. If you can't scale, you can't unlock the advantage to you, the consumer. So we set out from an engineering point of view to be able to make tens of thousands of tons of silicon carbon material, and at a price point that matches graphite that you buy today. So we're 5 times the energy density or capacity on the anode side of your battery, but we're equal on an energy normalized basis to graphite. So it doesn't cost you any more. Unfortunately, as a consumer, you won't see that. The middleman that actually makes the batteries or the end application, they'll take that as margin. But anyway, we can't be perfect. So if you want to, the 2 other pain points is being able to drive further and charge faster. We unlock both of those. Silicon enables a safe, fast charging future, and also large gravimetric energy density, volumetric as well. We talked about aviation. That is a really hard thing to, I have a background, I used to be a professor of chemical engineering, I have a background in sustainable technologies. It is a very, very hard application space to unlock. What we're doing with doubling gravimetric energy density means that our eVTOL customers, where you're looking at short-haul flights of 1 to 2 hours, that's becoming a reality. Flying from Australia to Singapore, that's got quite a bit way to go, and SAF, I agree, is where the future lies in that. But what we're able to do is unlock hard-to-abate technologies of the future. We've also raised around $50 million over the last 6 years. We're also going out this almost immediately now into a Series B round, raising about $75 million US dollars and above. Why? We have an operational pilot plant in Australia. It's been upgraded the last 3 times over the last 3 to 4 years. We have a 46% funded commercial demo plant, which is around the 250 ton per annum scale. That will actually be revenue positive in 2 to 2.5 years in certain application spaces. We also have licensed our technology into India to build a full commercial 6,500 ton per annum plant from Himadri Specialty Chemicals. We also have facilities in Louisiana and New Orleans that we've just acquired, and a 6,500 ton per annum plant in Tennessee. We're well on the way to where we want to be, which is in 5 years' time is literally the largest producer of silicon carbon on Earth in every application space that you can find a lithium-ion battery today. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Andrew Minett, co-founder and CTO of Sicona Battery Technologies. And now I'd like to invite on stage Heidi Wyle, founder and CEO of Venti Technologies. The company develops physical AI-powered autonomous vehicle solutions for moving goods in enclosed heavy logistics yards, such as ports, airports, factories, and warehouses. Heidi.
I'm Heidi Wyle. I'm founder and CEO of Venti Technologies. I founded Venti in 2019 with MIT professor Daniela Roos. She runs MIT's largest lab, 1,200 researchers, all AI. We make magic trucks, 8,000-pound, enormous shipping container trucks that drive by themselves. Now, of course, they don't really magic, but we use them, we program them, and when they drive by you and you see that there's nobody in a cab, you're convinced that they are magic. So they do work. We partnered with PSA, and I'm very proud to tell you that we have been running a fleet of these autonomous vehicles 24/7 in full operation production amidst 900 human-driven vehicles for 2.5 years. It's actually really working. And now Venti's mission is very bold. We are looking to change the way goods movement is done in the supply chain. These are terrible yards. There's a lot of chaos. People just dump containers, and the people who own them have to hire drone companies to fly over and find their containers. This is nuts. So we have robot trucks. They will drop the goods exactly where they're meant to be, exactly when they were meant to be. And that enables process development, which we can take, and for the very first time, we can begin to automate the supply chains of the United States and the world. This is a good thing because it turns out there's $600 billion worth of inefficiencies per year based on the moving goods in those supply chains. Let me give you some statistics. We operate that 80-foot-long truck with a 2-centimeter positional accuracy. I can't drive my car to 10 centimeters. 80-foot-long trucks. We return 65% of the money of transporting to our customers. In the future, we will only need 40% as many trucks to do the same work when they're robot trucks. And this all creates an enormous traction for us, of a $1.5 billion market. So in terms of our traction, we have about 120 people, most of them here in Singapore. We're building out in the United States. And we have 4 major enormous customers. PSA, the port, the number 1 and number 3 railroad yards in the United States, railroads, and then a global logistics company. Let me tell you a quick story. We met the railroad. We decided to do a POC for 3 months. At 6 weeks, they called us and said, we've hit all the metrics. They wanted 2 vehicles in Texas and 2 vehicles in California. When we started on that for a couple months, they then told us, hey, we believe in you and that you can do the autonomy. We looked at all of your competitors, they can't. And so I'm happy to tell you, most important thing I'll tell you tonight, we signed a $500 million deal with the United States' top railroad about a month ago. This is a total inflection for us. And of course, now we're pivoting into delivering for this amazing customer. Now we've raised $47 million. We are now doing a B round like my colleagues to raise another 40 plus, and that's going to go to delivering on the contract and bringing in more customers. Our revenues, we're looking at 17 this year, up from 5. And in terms of profitability, we think that will be about 2028 with about $142 million. In terms of our competitors, I would say 2 things, deep and data. We went deep. Our competitors went broadly. They did many POCs. They're not in autonomy. We've been working in it for 2 years. And then in 5 years, I would say, we're the undisputed leader of autonomy in the United States, Singapore, Europe. We have 20 customers, and we have 400 million revenues, and we're looking to IPO. Come ride with us into the future.
Thank you, Heidi. That was Heidi Wyle, founder and CEO of Venti Technologies. And now I'd like to invite on stage Sue Young, co-founder of Linkerbot. Linkerbot makes dexterous robot hands emulating the movement and function of human hands. They can be fitted on humanoid robots or industrial robotic arms to perform complex tasks or reproduce human skills.
Okay, I'm the last one. Before I start to talk, I have to say thank you to everyone. They gave me the more time to do access because I'm not good at speaking English. Now let's talk about the robot hand. I'm the Sue Yang, the co-founder of the Linkerbot, and I'm leading the AI and software in this company. At this company, we do the high dexterous hand for the robot and the system, the skill system behind them to let the robot to move belong from the lab and the stage to the real industrial, the real business and the real life. And now we have more than 400 and maybe 15 or more people in this company. Maybe we are the largest, the startup do the hand for the robot in this world. And we have the so quickly it's upgraded product in less than 2 weeks. The hardware and less than 2 days or 3 days software. And before last year, our customer now over the world about the university, about the industrial, about the robotic companies, they not do the hand. And before we start this company, we have a dream. Or the many founder are engineers. So we believe the robot can truly help the people to build a thing like Doraemon. He can pick up anything from his pocket, and we want to build the robot to make everything. But we truly to work with the robot, we found the hard thing. The robot can't work very well. It's necessary, and we should let the hand more reliable and more affordable and more powerful in several series. And now every time successful manipulation, every time reliable action, every time the environment becomes the data, we use the data to training the model. We use the model to build the scaling. We use the scaling to make the hand better. Now we can deliver one cat's hands more than 2,000 a month. And in 5 years, I think the robot can truly help the people to do the useful things. He can work with the people. He can do the work again and again, not for a demo, not for a show, not amazing 1 minute or 2 minutes. It doesn't work. And in the Linkerbot, we build the future for the robot. We let the robot do more useful, and we are hiring. We now have the 4 officers in China, Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Shenzhen, and we are setting up a new company at Hong Kong before the August. So we are the founding company, like to make friends with everyone. So if you have some business would like to do with me, so collect me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Su-Yan. That was Su-Yan, co-founder of Linkerbot. There we have it. These were the 4 finalists of this year's FedEx Small Business Grant Contest. Let's give them one more big round of applause, please. And now it's time to announce the results of the FedEx Small Business Grant Contest. Earlier today, we saw pitches by 4 100-to-watch companies: Aether Fuels, Sicona Battery Technologies, Venti Technologies, and Linkerbot. And after much deliberation, the judges have made their decision. Before we announce the results of this contest, please see a short message from our sponsor, FedEx.
It's a new day, a new beginning, a day of possibilities, a day of challenges. In the midst of intense competition, logistics and supply chains are important keys that cannot be overlooked. Our logistics solutions connect people with goods, services, ideas, and technologies. We make it easy for you to access new markets and strengthen your current business. With us, you will discover new opportunities and new potential. FedEx is here to support your business.
Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Salil Chari, President of Asia Pacific at FedEx, to join me on stage and announce the results of the FedEx Small Business Grant Contest. Please put your hands together for Salil. Great to see you, Salil, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rana. It's a great pleasure and to be among all these amazing founders and investors. And listening to the panels and talking to some of you at the breaks, the level of innovation and the passion is just inspiring.
It definitely is, and seizing the momentum is this year's theme. And across APAC, we are seeing many SMEs move from recovery into growth while navigating continued uncertainty and challenges. Now, from FedEx's perspective, what strategic priorities should small and medium businesses focus on this year to scale with confidence and remain competitive in the long run?
That's a great question. And as I was listening to the panels, a lot of the theme is around AI. But if you're in the physical world and where you have to move goods, you have to think about supply chain. And the world is very interesting right now when it comes to that. Whether it's all these unexpected events happening, whether it's trade flow shifting, or whether it's digital disruption, all of these things are happening at the same time. And for small and medium enterprises to succeed, resilience is key. And having the confidence to act when there is not full visibility is another critical aspect. When we talk to a lot of the small and medium enterprises, three themes emerge. The first is building adaptability in their supply chains using data and technology. With all the disruptions that are happening, our customers are looking for not just, where is my package, but tell me how can I predict disruptions and how can I get ahead of these disruptions and do proactive contingency planning. A second theme is to leverage shifting trade flows. We're in the middle of Asia, and with all the changes happening in regulations and tariff de minimis, intra-Asia and Asia is becoming very important in terms of trade flows. And our FedEx network, it's everywhere. So as customers look to reconfigure their supply chains, as they look to find new customers in Asia, we're helping them find where their customers are and how they can reconfigure their supply chains and make them more resilient. And lastly, it's about growing and competing through the right partners. If you think about small, medium enterprises and startups, they are time poor. They're juggling multiple things. And having the right partner can really help them scale on a bigger stage. And this is where, again, if you are in the business of moving physical goods, FedEx has the network that can provide you local expertise as well as global reach.
Now, technology, as you mentioned, particularly AI and digital tools, rapidly shaping how these businesses operate and compete. What are some of the most important technology shifts you're seeing across Asia Pacific? And how are these SMEs accessing the capabilities they need to move faster, connect more seamlessly in a global markets?
Yeah, we're seeing as technology is evolving at such a rapid pace, the customers who are leveraging technology, they are separating themselves from those who are not using technology as much. And again, there are three themes that we are seeing. One is embedding AI in day-to-day decision making, whether it's demand forecasting or how you are planning. Customers are using more and more of that in order to understand their supply chains and what they need to do differently. A second theme that is coming out is moving from visibility to foresight. So for example, before it used to be about tracking a package. Now customers are asking us, it's not just about tracking the package, but tell me when there will be a disruption and how I can work around that disruption. And then I think the last theme is around automation to scale. One of the founders earlier talked about how they've embedded AI in all of their workflows. And doing something like that frees up the startups to really think about their core business, the core growth, but at the same time, they're able to compete on a much bigger scale.
Now, FedEx has partnered with Forbes Asia for the 100 to Watch list for 5 years now, and you continue to invest in entrepreneurs through the small business grant contest that we saw. How does this commitment to SMEs shape the way you support entrepreneurs, and how is this year's small business grant contest helping the next generation of high growth businesses move forward?
Small and medium businesses are the lifeblood of any economy. They make up, I think, about 90% of employment. They make up about half of global GDP, and I think there are about 400 million small and medium businesses worldwide. And in most of these cases, if it's a startup, they really want to focus on what their core is, and they depend on partners like FedEx to connect them with possibilities worldwide. And this is also where the partnership with Forbes Asia is so important, because through this partnership, we shine a light on those founders who are going to be driving that next wave of growth in the region. And this small business grant contest is an important part of that. There's obviously the financial support, with the winner getting $30,000 and the 3 runner-ups getting $13,000, but it's also the visibility. All these founders get to tell their story, build credibility, and really have that momentum that hopefully allows them to scale and become the next unicorns.
Great, and now I don't want to delay any further. It's time to reveal the results. Salil, could you give us the honors of announcing the winner of this year's FedEx Small Business Grant Contest?
Firstly, a big congratulations to all the participants and all the teams that pitched. I mean, it was just phenomenal hearing from them about the innovation. And unfortunately, we had to pick one, even though there were 4 fabulous companies. And the winner is Venti Technologies. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Venti Technologies. I'd like to invite Heidi, Kyle to join us on stage, please.
Heidi, big congratulations. That was amazing. Congratulations.
The winner of the FedEx Small Business Grant Contest, Venti Technologies, will receive a cash prize of $30,000 from FedEx. Congratulations again.
You come here.
And now for the special mentions, please, I'd like to invite on stage Aether Fuel, Sicona Battery Technologies, and Linkerbot. Please give them a big round of applause. All 3 special mention companies will receive a cash prize of $13,000 from FedEx as well. Everybody, if you can please, have a photo with Salil.
Okay, a little bit forward.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Salil, for joining us today. On behalf of Forbes Asia, we'd like to extend our sincere thanks for FedEx for being sponsor for this event and for your continuous support of small businesses in the region.